I hope this finds you well. Most of us are familiar with Brown versus Board of Education. It is the landmark case that did away with the doctrine of separate but equal. In this video, we are going to look at the particulars of the case, but before we do, let's look at a timeline of laws and cases that led to this significant ruling. A full reading of the case is available on this channel if you'd like to hear the case for yourself. In 1857, Dred Scott versus Sanford denied citizenship to African Americans, allowing for their categorization as second-class citizens. In 1865, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States, and Congress established the Freedmen's Bureau, allowing for the first black schools, including Howard University, where Thurgood Marshall would attend law school. 1865 also saw the birth of the Black Codes, ushering in segregation. Public schools were segregated, and blacks were barred from serving on juries and testifying against whites. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 guaranteed blacks basic economic rights to contract, sue, and own property. In 1868, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified, and it overruled Dred Scott versus Sanford. In 1875, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1875, prohibiting discrimination in inns, theaters, and other places of public accommodation. In 1883, the Supreme Court overturned the Civil Rights Act of 1875 and declared that the 14th Amendment does not prohibit discrimination by private individuals or private businesses. In 1887, segregation known as Jim Crow emerged. In 1896, Plessy versus Ferguson established the doctrine of separate but equal. In 1927, in Gong Lum versus Rice, the Supreme Court held that a Mississippi school district may require a Chinese American girl to attend a segregated black school rather than a white school. In 1935, the NAACP began challenging segregation in graduate and secondary schools. In 1938, the Supreme Court decided in favor of Lloyd Gaines, a black student who had been refused admission to the University of Missouri's law school. In 1948, the Supreme Court unanimously held that a black woman could not be denied entrance to a state law school solely because of her race. In 1950, the Supreme Court held that the University of Texas Law School had to admit a black student in Sweat versus Painter. Also in 1950, the Supreme Court invalidated the University of Oklahoma's requirement that a black student admitted to a graduate program unavailable to him at the state's black school sit in separate sections of or in spaces adjacent to the classroom, library, and cafeteria. Finally, in 1954, we get the ruling from Brown versus Board of Education. The case was decided by unanimous vote on May 17, 1954. Chief Justice Warren authored the opinion. The question the court had to answer was whether segregation in public schools based on race deprives African American children of equal protection of the law. Said differently, does segregation violate the 14th Amendment? Here are the facts. The case was composed of 5 cases from the states of Kansas, South Carolina, Virginia, and Delaware. All of the cases related to the segregation of public schools on the basis of race, and all of the plaintiffs were minors represented by their parents. All of the schools involved were equalized or were being equalized with respect to tangibles such as buildings, curricula, qualifications, and the salaries of teachers, among a number of other factors. But the court made clear that it was examining the effect of segregation on public education, not just the tangibles. The children were Vicki Henderson, Donald Henderson, Linda Brown, James Emanuel, Nancy Todd, and Catherine Carper. Thurgood Marshall was instrumental in the case, arguing on behalf of a number of the plaintiffs before the Supreme Court. He later became the first African American Supreme Court justice in U.S. history. In 4 of the 5 cases, a 3-judge federal district court denied relief to the plaintiffs based on the separate but equal doctrine. In Delaware, however, the Supreme Court of Delaware followed the separate but equal doctrine, but ordered that the plaintiffs be admitted to the white schools because they were superior to the black schools. The Supreme Court consolidated the cases and heard oral arguments in December of 1952 and December of 1953. The plaintiffs argued that segregated schools were not equal and could not be made equal. Therefore, they were being deprived of equal protection of the law. The court began by highlighting the importance of education, calling it perhaps the most important function of state and local governments, and the foundation of good citizenship. The court went on to state that it is difficult for a child to succeed in life when denied the opportunity of an education, and I couldn't agree more. Education is a right which must be made available to all individuals on equal terms. When it comes down to the segregation of public schools, the court pointed out that segregation is inherently detrimental to the black students because it implies inferiority of the black students. In conclusion, the court overruled Plessy v. Ferguson and announced that separate but equal facilities are inherently unequal and violate the protections within the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Linda Brown, the case's namesake, would go on to attend college and later become a civil rights activist. Thanks for watching.